Selling a home after losing a loved one is probably one of the hardest things that you'll have to do. You're grieving, you're overwhelmed, you're stressed, and then suddenly you're responsible for selling a house you probably didn't want to be in charge of. And what's probably worse is the home's filled with a lot of memories over years and years of spending time there. I've helped hundreds of families through this process, and today we're going to go through a 4-step process of how to make this as seamless and painless as possible. Hi everyone, I'm Dan Callis. I've been selling real estate for almost 25 years now, sold over 1,000 homes. And today's discussion is going to be a little bit different because we're going to deal with the ins and outs of selling a home as part of a probate or an estate property. One of the things we need to do is understand the process of working through all of the emotions and yet doing what's necessary in your best interest for the family. So if you're watching this, you're probably in a situation where someone's recently passed, a loved one or a friend, or you're helping elderly parents moving out of their house that was your childhood home. And I know this is not easy. Over the years, I've helped people just like yourself through this process of selling an estate property. The thing that I've learned through the last many years is what people really need is not just a real estate agent, but someone that can come alongside of them and help them through this entire process because it can get complex and overwhelming. There's legal dynamics, there's family issues, and one thing that we do know is that the house still needs to get sold regardless of what's going on. So today I'm going to share with you what I've learned. We'll cover the legal process, what to do to prepare the property, what to do with all the belongings, and how to handle all the family disagreements. Most importantly, how to do it in a seamless manner where it's less stress, not more. So let's dive in. All right, first thing we're going to talk about the legal side. I'm not an attorney, so I'm not giving you any legal advice. In selling an estate property, we can't just list it and get it sold. There's some other things we need to do. If we understand the process up front, it allows us to move forward confidently knowing that we're abiding by the law. There's a couple things that happen. In most cases, when someone passes, the property goes into probate to handle the estate. That's where the court gets involved. The court will validate the will, identify all assets, pay off the debts and taxes, and distributes the proceeds to the heirs. Here's what it means to sell the property. Number one, if there's a will, the executor will be named. They'll have the authority to sell the property, but it's usually based upon court approval first. In the state of Wisconsin, it actually takes anywhere from 30 to 90 to 180 days, maybe even a year, depending on your county, to be appointed. The executor will need letters from the court, which will officially allow them to sell the property and represent the estate's needs. If there's no will, the court will appoint an administrator. And this process is similar, but it takes longer because the court has to determine that there are no other heirs. If the property is in a trust, this is actually the easiest scenario because if the home is in a trust prior to the person passing, it gets transferred to the successors. The successors named in the trust, and the home can be sold without any court involvement. And it can take a few weeks instead of months. An important thing to note, first thing you want to do is not make any major changes to the property until you have legal authority to do so. At times I've seen it where family members have started renovations on the home without court approval and problems ensue. Second, all the proceeds from the sale actually go into an estate account. The executor is responsible for those funds. They have to pay the debts, they have to pay the taxes, and the expenses first before distributing the funds to the heirs. Third, there's dates and deadlines. Notify creditors, file tax returns, getting court approval for the sale. Missing these can delay or even invalidate the sale. Want to make sure we do those. How do we navigate this? First recommendation is that if you have a real estate attorney, talk to them. They'll guide you through the process. Sometimes it costs anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 depending on who you use, and they will guide you and represent your interests in the probate matter. If you want to do it yourself, that is an option. I've seen it many a times by sellers. And as your real estate agent, if you have an attorney, I'll work directly with them to ensure that they get all the paperwork. One of the things I know about attorneys is they are very concise with what language they want in the contract and how it's represented when selling it. The key is to make sure that you get the proper legal coverage to ensure that you're protected through this entire process. Let's talk about timeline expectations from the time that the person passes to the time that it can be sold. With a trust, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. With a will that's uncontested, 2 to 4 months. With a will that's contested, 6 to 12 months. No will, 3 to 6 months. From listing and closing, we're talking anywhere from 1 month to 2 months is a typical sales, plus potentially in some cases 2 to 4 weeks depending on if the home needs court approval to sell. I'm telling you this not to discourage you, but to give you proper expectations of moving forward. The process takes time, and that's okay. Part 2, handling the emotional side and family dynamics. Let's talk about something that's oftentimes harder than the legal stuff. It's the emotional interaction that you have with the family, with the property. Here's what I've learned about helping so many people through this process. Selling an estate property is never just about the house. It's about the memories, the family relationships, and sometimes decades of complicated emotions coming up while working through this process. Let's talk about a couple things that I've seen in the past. Siblings disagree. We see that regularly, actually. We have one party, and here's a common case. We got 3 siblings. One party absolutely in charge, looking to get things done, wanting to move forward, get the process going. Another sibling that just wants their money, just like, I don't care, just let me know when it's done. And then another sibling that wants it done quickly, but not willing to help at all. That's a common occurrence. And what we need to do is we need to be all on the same page. If you're the personal rep, if you're the trustee, if you're the person in charge, it's about you and what you're willing to do. Ultimately, you have the final authority, and it's on you to make the decisions necessary to move forward for the family. And there will be some stress, and there will be some complications, and that's all part of the process, and that's why we're here to help. Another scenario that happens regularly is we have a family member that's not the personal rep, not the executor of the estate, but someone that stayed with the family member that passed. And a lot of times those people are more connected to what's going on because they've lived in the home, they've helped mom or dad through the process, and they've been alongside through the entire ride. And they want to make sure that the process finishes rightly. One of the biggest emotions that people feel is guilt, because they come into mom or dad's home or the family member's home and they realize the house is not in good condition. But that's not on you. You're not responsible for the way that they lived. You're responsible for taking care of the sale. No reason to be embarrassed. Accept the fact that it's not what you would expect it to be. And move forward knowing that the person that's going to buy it will fix it up and make sure that the family that lives in there will love it and cherish it just as much as you did in the past. Probably the biggest emotion that I hear on a daily basis, in fact, is we're just overwhelmed. The process is overwhelming. And that's why it's important that the moment that you start the process, you put together a plan, because every day you get more and more things that have to get done, and it seems like things aren't getting done as quickly as they should. That's part of the process. So here's how we can handle some of these challenges. Number 1, if you're the personal rep, the executor, communicate on a regular basis to all parties involved. Ensure that they know what's going on, but ultimately make sure that they know that whether you're agreeing to work together to who to list the home with or how to sell it, that you're on the same page, or if you're just taking the reins and saying, I'm doing this, let them know what their expectation is. And that way, you eliminate some of that stress that happens. Second, have one point of contact, a person that's in charge, someone that's going to be the spokesperson for the entire family. That way, it becomes very easy and streamlined to determine the best process and course of action for you as the family. Third, you need to have patience. Understand that everyone in the process is grieving differently. Some may just want to be done and over with. Others may want to take time and work through the emotions. Neither one is wrong, but you need to be patient and be there through the process to ensure that everyone feels comfortable when you do decide to get the home sold. Fourth, the guilt about selling homes. Remember, selling a family home, the home that you were raised in, you're not getting rid of those memories. Those memories don't go away. What it allows you to do is cherish those memories more because now it's not just attached to a home, they're inside of you. One thing I've learned is that it's a lot of the times easier to take out frustration on the real estate agent versus the siblings, and that's okay. That's what I've signed up for. I'm here, I can take it, and it doesn't bother me. At times, siblings disagree with the pricing, disagree with the strategy, question the marketing plan. I get a lot of pushback on my suggestions, and that's okay. My job is to stay patient, provide factual information, and help the family make the best decisions that are in the best interest of the estate. If you're an only child or the only family member that's around to handle this, you have a different challenge. And that's one thing that I just had happen with a seller. They were the only heir left. The closest family member that was distant lived 2 hours away. He had to clear out the house. He had to figure out what to do. And that's where we stepped in. We actually created a plan, a strategy that made sense, where it's just him alone, but yet he was able to do what was necessary based upon the contract to allow him to sell the home. Let's talk about preparing the home for sale. There's really 3 options that we can do in this home, any home in fact. Number 1, you need to secure the property. Secure the property means making sure that the friends, the family members, the people that have extra keys don't have access to the house. Because the personal property that's inside the house needs to be put on record of an asset. So you need to limit the amount of people that are in the house before you do an inventory. The other thing that happens is utilities. You need to keep paying those. If you have a mortgage, you need to keep paying that. And consult your attorney on how to deal with the mortgage company, especially if you have a reverse mortgage. Let's talk about dealing with personal belongings. Here's the interesting thing about personal belongings. Most of the time, what we feel has value and worth to us because it was owned by a family member, it doesn't have worth and value to someone that's willing to buy it. Keep that in mind. I've seen it at times where sellers do an estate sale, and they actually do make quite a bit of money. I've seen it at times where sellers have an estate sale, and they say to me, Dan, not even worth my time. So here's what I'd recommend. You get 3 piles. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna determine in this pile what's valuable and sentimental to you. You're gonna set that aside. The second pile that you're gonna create is the things that you think can be donated and have some sort of tax write-off. And then the third pile, that's the stuff you throw away. And each pile will get bigger with time. Now you can get help with this, and we have people that we work with on a regular basis. We have estate companies, auction companies, and when it comes straight down to it, junk removal companies. You can donate those items, and we have a list of people that will actually come pick up those items versus you dropping them off. If you'd like that, let us know. The third step is cleaning and repairing, and each home is different, so I'm going to give you an overview of what this means. Number 1, we can either sell it the way that it is, in its current form with everything in it. Number 2, we can sell it the way that it is and just clean it up a little bit. We have professional services if you'd like. Or number 3, we can fix it up, renovate it, and get you top dollar. It's all a matter of what you want. Expectations on pricing. Option 1, if you just sell it the way it is, you will take a lower price for the home. Option 2, you sell it the way that it is, but you clean it up. It could cost you a couple $100 to $1,000 to get it cleaned properly. Option 3, sky's the limit there, depending on what sort of remodeling you want to do. The simple way to understand pricing in an estate property is this. There's what the average home sells for and what your home will sell for, and that will be based upon what sort of deferred maintenance there is, what age the mechanicals are, and also any features that are out of date. When it comes to strategy, it's up to you. We have the fast or we have the slow process. If you'd like more information about how to price the home or strategy or anything else that we talked about today, give us a call at 414-617-6912, 414-617-6912, or you can text us as well. Thanks for your time.